I think the audio is going to be fine. Sweet. Okay. Here we go. We are getting connected, getting some viewers. Say hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. I always love to know who's in the audience. What's up, everybody? I'm excited. Today, a little behind, but just had a busier Friday than expected, but got some cool stuff. Cool topic today. Kind of looking into the future, but kind of drawing from some recent experience and thinking about a positive experience, and thinking of, and I've kind of realized that that is it has made me think of a little bit about what a world with UBI could look like. With UBI. Huh. Ah, there we go. The acronym, nice. Yeah, do we have folks on watching? Let's see here. Maybe the comments just aren't coming through. There we go. The acronym, nice. We're good there. I just want to let a couple of viewers get on, you know what I mean? Yep, we got streaming on Twitter. Wondering if the viewer count is just me. Did I ever download Facebook onto my iPad? I did not. I'm excited to get going, but I want, maybe one or two people to be watching, which would be super cool. Go ahead and say hello in the chat. Say something. I'd love to know that you are here. See, maybe oh, hang on. Vote for Sass. 0 viewers. All right. Well, I'm gonna just start talking about it. Yeah. So, I will send one message to Eddie. But yeah, no, so UBI. So, okay. Let's first say, what is a UBI? So UBI stands for Universal Basic Income or Unconditional Basic Income. They're the same thing. Different names for the same thing. And that's, oh. Lynn said she's watching but can't comment. Okay, cool. Glad to know Lynn is watching. Awesome. No, yeah, so UBI is, so yeah, that's giving people, all people, maybe in a country or a given jurisdiction, enough money to cover their basic needs unconditionally. It's the same amount of money for everybody, and you give it to them no matter what. Typically on a regular basis, so like monthly or weekly or bi-weekly or whatever it may be. It's something I've talked about many times before, but if you're not familiar with the concept, you may feel a little lost in this stream, but I suspect most people who are watching probably are familiar with unconditional basic income and why it would be awesome. But I want to talk about like I said, this recent very positive experience that I've had. So I've talked about this before in a couple recent streams, but I recently started spending time at this place called the Austin Clubhouse. So it's just one location of hundreds all around the world, mostly in the US, of Clubhouse International. It's a little bit difficult to describe, but we're going to take our time, we're going to get through it, we're going to make sense of it. So I think the simplest way to put it, which still doesn't really capture it all, is it is the intermediary step in between leaving the mental hospital, like the like a clinical setting for a mental illness, like the hospital, and going back to full, totally normal, typical, regular, everyday life. There's this gap, and this covers that middle ground. And so it's a non-traditional model of recovery. How it works, so we have our own space. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It is staffed somewhat, and we'll get to that. And then to become a member is free. All you have to do is be an adult with a mental health diagnosis and an open case with a caseworker, and then you can become a member for free. And then what we do during the day is all sorts of variety of things. So we call it our work ordered day. Work ordered day. I'm trying to get the transcription correct. Close enough. So one of the big things that we do every day is we cook lunch. So we write our own menu. We put together a shopping list. We go to the grocery store ourselves. We pick up the food, and then we bring it back. We have a kitchen, and we make food. And that is like we eat lunch at noon, and that's $1. It's $1 to eat lunch, which is awesome. And it's a real home cooked meal. It's not nothing. It's an actual meal, and there's variety, and it's really, really cool. So that's like one thing that we do during the day. Other things that we do during the day, one thing that I really like is we do reach out. So our particular clubhouse has over 1,200 members, and so what we do is we get print off like a list of like a handful of members, and we sit down and we just call them up and we just check in on them, just to see how they're doing, see if they're okay. Maybe invite them to come in or tell them what's going on at the clubhouse or what's going on with lunch or whatever, because we know that you can kind of, by the time you realize that you're in a bad spot, it can be very difficult to do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself to get out of that bad spot. So, what do I mean by that? So once you become isolated, even though you know what you need to do is to reach out to other folks and go see other folks, it can be very difficult to do so just because it's just kind of the territory of the mental illness. And so we take the active initiative on that side to reach out to folks. And that's really awesome. Really great positive responses. I've been reached out to before. It's very helpful. There are other things that we do. We have a garden where we grow our own food that we use to cook lunch. We send out cards to folks. So whether they're specialty cards like somebody's sick and we just to get well soon, or congratulations, that somebody had a baby or got married or got a promotion at work or whatever it is. And we also do birthday cards as well. So we all sign these cards, we send them out. We have a snack bar that we keep open throughout the day. Somebody has to actually staff the snack bar. And so you can buy snacks. They're very inexpensive, 25 cents, 50 cents, right? You get coffee, hot chocolate, tea, you get granola bars or, other snacks that we might make. We made banana bread this week. There is all sorts of like admin and operations work. So like we got to do like data entry, right, to help keep track of like who's coming into the clubhouse and how many meals we sold and all this stuff. And we keep track of the reach out as well. We have a CRM, which I don't remember what that stands for, but it's just a management software for managing large databases of people. businesses use. We have what else? I mean, it's fundraising, communications, marketing kind of stuff. So like, we have a YouTube channel that we make videos for. And one of the really important things, like I said earlier, is that there is some staff, but there's not enough, and that's by design. It's intentional. So in this model, at Clubhouse, the staff and the members are equivalent. They're equals. So there's nothing that's like off. There's nothing that's like out of bounds to members. There's nothing that's restricted just to staff. There's no gatekeeping. Members and staff work side by side on all of the work throughout the day that needs to be done. The really important thing about this model is that it's 100% voluntary. So members can come and go as they please throughout the day. They can work on whatever it is that they want to work on. And they can do as much as they want or as little as they want. They can just hang out in this space if that's what they need. There are other resources. So, for example, Clubhouse has partnered with our Clubhouse has partnered with Goodwill and some other organizations for transitional employment positions. So, one of the things they'll do is you're basically an intern for 6 months, but if you need to take a mental health day, a staff member from Clubhouse can cover you at Goodwill. So that way you don't have to worry about losing your job if you need to take a day off. But there's a lot of there's all these different things, but again, this work is voluntary. Showing up is voluntary. It's all voluntary, and we have meetings and stuff too. We do check-ins and we go over assigning roles and stuff. But it's all voluntary, and I have been spending a lot of time there. So I started going about 6 or 7 weeks ago is when I became a member, and I've been there almost every day since I started going, whether it's for a few hours or the whole day. And we do social events too on Thursday nights, one Saturday a week or whatever. We do. I mean, it's our space. We get to do what we want. This is a Clubhouse model, but it's independent. But one of the things is that despite the fact that all the work is voluntary and that there's not enough staff to do everything, we still get everything done. And on top of that, a lot of that work is done by folks who are struggling with mental illness. And we still do it. We still get lunch made every day. We still make the grocery list. We still staff the snack bar. We still do reach out calls. We still do the fundraising. We still make the videos for YouTube. We still do all of the things. We get it done, even though all that work is voluntary. And I've thought about this a lot, about how I'm really enjoying this, and I feel like I'm contributing and I get to be a part of it, and I get a great lunch every day, and I get to interact and see people and spend time in a community, and I don't have to go spend a bunch of money, right? That's one of the problems with Austin is cool, you want to go do things, you're probably just gonna have to spend a lot of money to do it. Yeah, we've got some great parks and stuff, but you have to find a place to park. It's usually very expensive. Hello, Lynn. I see you got your comet, your little rainbow. Beautiful. But I've been thinking about this in the context of well, what if I had an unconditional basic income? I would probably that would probably be where I spend most of my time. Is doing volunteer work that is not me explicitly helping people in really bad situations. It's me just contributing to this community of people that I'm a part of, and we all contribute and we all benefit. And I've thought about okay, but we do have paid staff, we do have this like we have to fundraise, we have these operations going on. Like there is an asymmetry to it, and folks with mental illness, but it's like that is just the model that works for this group of people. There's no reason that this model just can't be adapted. So what I imagine is like, okay, if let's say we get a real serious unconditional basic income across the United States today, then what? Yes, the studies have shown that people find other things to do and become more productive with their time, which I think is actually a negative. I think we need to rest more. I think we work too much. But I think about like you could have, even if you are like neurotypical, you're not suffering with mental illness, like you can absolutely form a local community where y'all get together and you make lunch and you make dinner every day and everything's voluntary. And maybe you have different leaders, you have different people fill in different roles based on what their strengths are. And you can just deal with it. Like you can usually just organize however you like. And you can handle things in whatever way is best, because like, at the end of the day, like not every, like we can pretend all day long that we're going to try to teach everybody in the world how to cook. It ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like some people are just really bad at meal planning, menu planning, but can get in the kitchen. Like if you ask them to, if you have everything there, and this is what it is for me. I can show up to a place, and then if there's stuff cooked, if like they need more hands in the kitchen, and they say, hey, can you help us come cook? I can go in the kitchen and I can help cook. But like, let me tell you, trying to cook at home, oh my God, like I'm cooking that's the other piece too. I'm always cooking for one person, and that is just hard. It's really hard. But if we're cooking for 20 people, we can make that work. Like that is way more straightforward, especially if we meal plan together the kind of stuff that we want to eat. Right? And I can get involved with that, and I can just I don't have to be part of every chain in that process. I can just do the part that I'm good at. And this, like I said, this is an adaptable model that any community of people could take on, where you just have a group of people who just decide, yeah, we're just gonna take care of each other. We're just gonna do potluck lunch, or not a potluck lunch. We're gonna do collective lunch, collective dinner every day, and like maybe there will be a couple people to rely on to like, you give a bunch of different people keys, and you say, okay, well, like I'll commit to being there Monday and Thursday mornings or whatever it is. But there's always other people who can take your spot if need to, like if you need that time off or whatever it is. But the real point I'm making is that we don't need to force people or threaten people or coerce people into doing this very meaningful work. And that includes things too. That includes like the shitty work, like data entry and like mopping and sweeping the floors and cleaning the tables. Like we have plenty of people who just do it out of pride. Just like that's what they want to do. They take joy and pride in that work. Like you may think that work is work that nobody likes. Turns out like some people actually are into it. We just got a new member, and she recently was able to start coming in more often, and she was at a meeting, and we were going over, she came in like right in the middle of it, and we were like, okay, well, what would you like to do as part of the work order day? And we started listing things out, and she was like, oh, data entry sounds great. I'd love to do some data entry. Sweet. They're out there, right? The people are out there to do all of the things. And it's so funny because the more I think about this, the more it just sounds like this is the way the world used to work. This is the way a lot of indigenous communities work. This is like the way that a world without kings works, right? When power is equal, everybody's on the same level. This is how communities have always worked, and we've strayed away from it. But there's no reason we can't go back to our roots as just a community of people. right? We have this thing that we invented, money, and it's all it is just gatekeeping, right? It gatekeeps everything, and like, yeah, it'd be better if we just didn't have the gatekeeping in the first place, but like, a workaround is just to give everybody enough money to get through the gate, right? It's just to pay the bouncer enough to let everybody in. And so if you remove that obstacle, you can allow people to just get back to this, like, just very straightforward communal level aspect of doing things. And any community can decide to do what they want, right? So we're very like one of our things that's kind of special to us is reach out, right? But maybe a different community might be big into like developing some kind of new technology or app. Another community might be big on some kind of environmental conservation. Another group might be into like education, right? Like teaching kids and stuff. Like there's so many different ways to adapt this concept. It's really just about like opening your mind, right? So what I'm really trying to do is give you a concrete example of like how this thing is working, has been working, continues to work, and is working really well for me, and has helped me in my personal recovery. And then like, okay, once you understand that concrete model, then like broaden it and open your mind as to like how, well, it turns out this is just one way to do it. There are actually a lot of ways to do this, to adapt this model. And turns out that really it's just returning to the roots of like how people operate. And in a world with UBI, I could see this taking off, right? I could see this idea of just like, you know, it's a community something or others, like just like small communities sprinkled all across the country that people join in with, right? I mean, we have these suburbs now, right, which is just, you know, a ridiculously terrible, you know, city planning, but you know, it is like the car lobby and all this stuff. But well, okay, you get your suburb community together, and like I remember I grew up in a suburb. We had the barn, and it was like an old barn that we just that we renovated, and it was just this like open space that we had that we could use for like events and stuff. But like most days it was untouched. But it was like this great spot that had like it had like an inside with like picnic tables and all this stuff, and it's like you could just have that in your suburb. You could just have this center where your community gathers and every day, and you work on this stuff together. You make lunch, or you make food, or you grow stuff in a garden, and you just instead of like having to be consumed by all of this other crap that's going on and all of these other distractions and having to drive super far and do all this commute and please these people on the other side of the country who, you know, wear business suits and just make money off your labor. Like, you can just participate in your community. It saves you a lot of money, it saves you time, it's good for the environment, it's healthy to form those connections with people, and like you can feel productive. And like, I mean, it doesn't, you say agrarian society, like we don't need to go all the way back to that, right? So like we have a lot of technology at the clubhouse. We have a whole rack of MacBooks that anybody can just grab and just do stuff with. So whether it is the data entry or using it to help with reach out or like signing on a new member, like you can also, like if you need to apply for some program, you can use them for that. Like you can just use them and nobody's stealing them. They're just, nobody desires to, even though a lot of the members are like homeless or like very, very poor. But right, and then we use technology for all of our meetings every day. We have a big touch screen, and we have like a PC that like wirelessly connects to it, and that we put up like a slideshow, and we do it on Zoom so people can remote in. Like we have, like I said, we have a YouTube channel, so we just bought like this brand new iPhone and like a tripod and an iMac, and so we're making videos on that and uploading them. Like you can have all of the benefits of a modern society, right? We have indoor plumbing, right? We have electricity and heat and cooling. Actually, our HVAC is getting worked on right now, but for the most part, yeah, you have HVAC. Like, you can have all of this other stuff, right? All these modern things, and like I said, you could have a group that's even a technology-focused group, right? So you could have a group that's maybe working on the next big app, and like they are doing tech stuff all day long. That's totally fine, right? But instead of making it this like profit-driven business or whatever, it's instead just like people, just like figuring out what they want to do with their time, but having, some degree of structure, having equal input and equal opportunity with each other, being on the same level as with everybody else, and not needing this like, not having to live in this hierarchy that we subject ourselves to, that just apparently, as I'm experiencing right now, just isn't needed. You just don't need it. People are capable and able enough to just live their lives. And so, this isn't to say this is what everybody needs to do when they get, when we get a UBI. But should that happen, I think that this is a good thing to have on the mind. That maybe you when it happens, you call up some of your friends and you say, hey, I'm thinking about, like, what if we just all got together every day and, like, made lunch collectively rather than just trying to do each to their own. And we can come up with, like, other things, and we can get, like, a little facility or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think it's a really cool model. I think it has expanded my mind and opened up the way that I think about this. It has connected a lot of things together. It has drawn bridges between things that I maybe thought were more separate than they are, and turned more things into a spectrum. But I just think this is I just think that, like, this is the kind of thinking that we need to get back to, right? Because there are plenty of folks who will tell you that, like, yeah, this is how indigenous culture has operated since forever, or whatever it is. Like, this is how our culture has operated since forever, and they're right, and so I'm just looking at it through this lens of, all right, can we get people to do this? Because I think it's like what happens is, like, we give people a tour, and then we just, like, and then they can sign up if they want, and it's free, and then they get their first lunch for free, and people almost always do, and they always, so that I've seen, people always say yes, and they always sign up, and look, they don't have to, but so far they have, and they've come back and they enjoy themselves, and and they connect, and they dig in, and again, it's like, look, I've been going there almost every day. There are only a few of us who are there, like, almost every day. There are probably, like, 4 or 5 of us outside of staff who are there basically every day. And then there's a handful who come maybe a couple times a week. And COVID is in the way. That's part of the problem. Is, like, we have a lower number of active members because of COVID. It's probably about half of what it was pre-COVID. Before COVID, not pretty. Man, this transcription is trying. It's so. But yeah, if you have a group of 20 people who are just getting together every day, like, boom, and then if somebody's sick, you automatically have this community who is already connected with you, who's going to call you up and say, hey, what's going on? How are you? Are you feeling okay? And no, I'm sick. Like, okay, well, we'll come drop off some leftovers for you or whatever it is. Like, so there are all sorts of ways to approach this and think about this. It is very much adaptable, and it is just, like, there's a lot of independence and autonomy in it. Like, I would definitely, there definitely been times where, like, I've been in the middle of doing something, and then I just walk out, and I just go sit in my car for 10 minutes or whatever, and I come back in. There's no judgment. There's no like, deadlines. It's just welcome. I get welcomed back in, and they say, great, good to see you. Like, hey, how you doing? And I just go back to it. And it's like, there's no There's nobody watching my time clock. There's nobody like over my shoulder. But it's also not this thing of like be your own boss. Like that's not what it is either. It is a collective effort to live together in a community. That is what it is. It's neither. It's not entrepreneurship. It is not hierarchy. It is not bosses in control. It's just living together. But you don't have to sleep in the same house. Like it's a place that I go to that's separate from my own home, and that's very helpful for me because I live alone, and it's better for me to be around people. So that's just how I think about it. So yeah, I've been going on and on. I'm not going to continue rambling because I feel like I'm just repeating myself now. But if y'all have any questions you have or things you want to say, just drop them in the comments. I'll reply. The Twitter comments haven't been coming through, so I'm going to check Twitter. See if there's anything. Alright, nothing on YouTube. Twitch usually comes through. Well, it would have already. I would have missed it by now. Here, let's check Twitter. No comments on Twitter. And I'm going to check Facebook. Just Lynn. Sweet. Okay, well that's it. I'm going to call it there. Thank you for watching. And I'd love to talk more about this kind of stuff because I think it's super cool.